how you doing? This is Natasha, and we are on our way to Waitress. This is what I do every day. Walking down this Manhattan street, 47th Street. I'm in the show Waitress. Right now we're starring Catherine McPhee. The music is written by Sarah Bareilles, directed by Tony winner Diane Paulus. And here we are, the stage door. This is Robert, our doorman.
Hey.
Y'all can come on in. So I get in here in the afternoon or the nighttime, depending on what time the show. Today we have a matinee. And I'm doing my makeup. So, you know, covering up all the little beauty marks. Beauty marks. Not imperfections, just beauty marks. Put a little blush on. There's a point in the story where I start dating maybe and getting a little bit more fixed up. So we start with a pretty kind of a light beat. I do. And then it progresses. For those of you who know the show, you know what I'm talking about, but we're not giving away any secrets today. You have to come and see the show. I was born actually in Rochester, New York, and then I moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is what I call home. And I just kept auditioning, kept hustling. Got into the touring circuit for a while. Then I talked with Carpathia Jenkins one day, and she was like, stay home, stay in town, say no, stop traveling. If you want to do Broadway, you have to be here. So that's what I did, and it was hard because I turned down a couple of gigs that would have been, would have sustained me to wait to book a show. Then my husband and I were arguing a lot. We're getting ready to separate, and I auditioned for the tour of All Shook Up because I knew that would take me out of town for a year. We could figure out what we were doing, and I went to that audition and I booked it, and I was supposed to be gone a year. But I really wanted to do Color Purple, so much that the summer before that I traveled to Atlanta when they were doing their out-of-town run to see it, because I was like, I need to be in Color Purple. This is a movie that I went to in '85 with my mom, my grandma, my sister, and a bunch of my cousins and aunts. We all went to see this movie together. But anyway, so I went to see it in Atlanta, kept planning to be in the show, had an audition prior to leaving on tour for the gospel singer that opens the show in Color Purple. And this is the original one, not the one that just passed. And I left for tour, and then I got a call back, and it was like the first Friday of our opening, our tech rehearsal. But we had a show that night, was my callback. So I flew back to New York, did the callback. It was raining that morning. It was a traumatic time. I was late. We were in Wisconsin. We were in Milwaukee. But I actually flew into Chicago because that's the times that I could get. And I drove to Milwaukee. It was horrible. The rain, the planes wouldn't take back off, so I was late to my show. I said all that to say I was late to All Shook Up. Shout out to Aurelia Williams, who was my understudy and went on brilliantly that night. It was a big deal because I was going to get fined probably up to $5,000 to $10,000 for missing that rehearsal because it caused them to call a special rehearsal to get Aurelia ready and to, because no, like I said, it was our first week and they hadn't had any rehearsals. Aurelia knew that the part and she was ready, but it was a big deal. So anyway, so I had the call back in New York, finally got back to Milwaukee. That was on a Friday, and that afternoon my agent called me and said, you know, sit down. I'm sorry, Monday my agent called me and said, sit down. And I thought she was telling me to sit down because I was going to be fined. She was going to tell me how much my fine was and what they were going to do, you know, based on me missing. And she told me that I booked Sophia in the Color Purple. And that wasn't even the part that I auditioned for. I auditioned for the gospel singer. And the only way that I could get out of my touring contract was to book a principal role on Broadway. And I had to give them like 4 weeks notice or 6 weeks notice or something like that to leave. And the date that they wanted me to start was January 6th, I believe it was, 2005. And that was 4 weeks to the date of the contract date. It was like 2 days before when I could get out, that I was able to get out. How you doing? Good, how are you? Hi, Benny.
Hi.
Say hello to the people too on there.
Hey, people.
Benny plays Cal in the musical Waitress. When I moved here with about 8 classmates from my college, from undergrad. We all came to New York together. We went to grad school after undergrad, descended. We came with our suitcases and our dreams and all of these ideas about how we were going to be household names. 3 of us roomed together, a room with Darren McConaughey and Joy. We all had an apartment in the Bronx together. It was a 1-bedroom that we divided up and made it work, because we were going to live out these dreams and make it happen for ourselves. But a lot of stuff happened in between, you know, in terms of the no's. You get more no's than you get yeses. You get a lot of delays. You get a lot of detours. And what I would say to you, that's the important thing, is how you wait, is how you survive, getting your survival game up and running before you get your booking game. Because in order to do this, you have to want it more than anything else, and then you have to work at it, and then you have to be okay with the no's. You really have to get the mindset that my job is to audition well. My job is to perfect my process, so that everything that belongs to you already, every job, it already belongs to you. No one can take that from you, and it's just there waiting for you to get to it. I used to do pageants when I was little, and my mother would tell me every time, if it was a top 10, she's, oh girl, you were number 11 if I didn't make it. You were number 6 if there was a top 5. You know what I'm saying? In terms of just instilling into my mind, just keep going. Keep going, because that next time, you're going to be on the winning edge of it. And you're always winning when you're always progressing and moving toward being better. It's not even about attaining the job or the position or creating or writing this movie that I'm writing. It's about the process of me being better, because I try to do better every day. And if you eat, sleep, think, breathe, dream this thing, whatever your thing is, then you go for it for all you're worth, and you give it all you have until you can no longer do, until you can't do that. Because at that point, that's when God, whatever you believe in, steps in to make up the difference for you. And that's what I believe. Just keep going.
Okay, what are you going to sing for us today?
What am I going to sing? Just sing from the show?
Yes, anything. Any 2 lines.
Any 2 lines. I'll just do from this. Sugar butter, flower. Oh, see, waitress, it's amazing!
What, you got 2 lines? 2 lines? Any 2 lines? What?
She used to be mine.
You know, being on stage is glorious. We get to sing this wonderful music and say these words, and actually look out sometimes and see people crying and see people change and see people moved. The show has a lot of themes and a lot of mother themes, a lot of progression, sing, get back, you know, pull yourself up, do the best you can for and a lot of change themes. In this season of my life, it's been perfect for me to be here. But meeting the fans is also one of the highlights, because they are so hungry for time with us and to be heard. And I think people in general just want to be loved and seen and heard. And the time with the fans gives us the opportunity to know that what we're doing is not in vain, if you will, and that it really does affect people, and it really does change people's lives. So the time with the fans and walking outside with them is one of the highlights of what I get to do.
In our show, when something crazy happens on stage, right? We have this new game called I Say Broadway. Like today, nothing really happened really bad, but sometimes sugar falls, or we drop a plate, or something happens and we have to clean it up, but in character, they give us this candy. I'm on a diet, I'm not eating candy. So now what I'm going to do, well, this week, I mean, you know, I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm giving away the candy. Would you like this? Yeah. Well, you can have it. And it says on here, I Say Broadway, and all I got was this lousy candy bar. And it is yours, young lady. So much.
I have new projects coming on, the first of which is this particular CD. Is called For My Mother, and it is a collection of show tunes that shows that I went to see with my mother, or that she talked about, or that we sang together. And it is a tribute to how she nurtured my dreams at every turn, nurtured everything about me. So my charge is for you to not only buy this CD, but and even if you don't buy the CD, just find someone in your community to nurture, to push along, to encourage, and then encourage yourself. That's what my mother was for me. She was my champion, my cheerleader, constantly. We all need those. I would love to be that for you. These songs provide a hint to the love that she supplied me with, and that sustains me. So for my mother can be purchased on Amazon.com, iTunes, and I just love for you to have it. Get a copy today. Like I said, the show tunes like what's that song? Old Man River. I sing that. I didn't sing that in the show, obviously. Norm Lewis is on the CD with me. He's singing. We sing a song from West Side Story together. Lots of show songs on the CD, but a lot of my mom's favorites and a lot of the things that we sung together. So where are the sounds tonight? The sounds that tell me my Lizzie's around. The sounds I took for granted, I thought I'd never miss. The noise I called a nuisance, yet suddenly I'm listening for your sounds. Where are your sounds? And that's half hour. We gotta get ready for the show. But thanks for watching.